Hi there! Welcome to my YouTube channel, Chess Access, where I give you access to my chess games. And yeah, chess games both over the board and online. I can see that my camera is flickering again. Maybe I'm sitting a bit too close. That seems to be a bit better. Yeah, so I've taken 4 days off, more or less, with playing online at least. I played one game in between with my dad over the board, and but that's just friendly, like a friendly game, non-rated, no stress. And I was before getting into a tilt again. I start to recognize that sooner and sooner. So rather than losing 200 points like I did before, I lost about 32 points. Um, yeah, so tilt is an interesting factor in chess, and I'm learning to stop quicker with playing chess when I notice that I'm getting tilted. But I could have stopped maybe 2 days earlier, and that would have saved me another 16 to 32 points. Anyway, 32 points is not the end of the world. But 4 days off, yeah, it was a nice breather, because normally I play chess every day, one, two, and yeah, I want to play one or two games. That's my new way of playing. But when I get into tilt, I start playing more. So I should then already know, okay, this is going in the wrong direction. Stop playing. Um, because I ended up 2 days playing like 10 games or something, and losing games, winning games, losing games, and playing badly, and getting really frustrated. So yeah, 4 days off was a very welcome breather. And so today I played over the board game. I played a senior man. I think he's 80 plus years. He's been in the chess scene for a long, long time. I'm not quite sure. Sometimes I ask, but I forgot to ask him. But I'm pretty sure he's been playing chess for over a decade, maybe even multiple decades. He's a good player. He's not like a top player. Um, but he's a good player nonetheless. Uh, Very positional and tactical, but also um, aggressive, but not like in your face. It's like a sneaky a bit, but and solid. He's not making any mistakes. So yeah, and last year I lost against him. Very quickly lost a rook for a knight. Yeah, so I was keen on not making the same mistake again. And I must say, the game went pretty well. Yes, there were some things I could have done better, but I am pretty happy nonetheless. Uh, Considering how I played last week, and just first chess game after like first competitive chess game after 4 days not playing, I'm happy with how I played and the result. Anyway, so here we go. So I played with black with white, and starting with d pawn, hoping to play the Jababa London, which I normally do at the moment if I get the chance. Excuse me for the slow movement of the pieces. I still haven't figured out in OBS why this is. So if anyone watches this and knows how to solve it, please let me know. Um, yeah, so Jababa London it is. He closes the pawn, which normally means, as far as I've learned, that you bring out your pieces and castle short. If he brings out his bishop outside the pawn chain, you start, well, until a certain level apparently, you start a pawn storm and you castle long. Uh, so, but first I wanted to prevent him from coming in and pin my knight. Um, yeah, so he's quite, um, aggressive in a way with the pawns. I think this is not too bad for me. I mean, we're still equal because he's only got his knight developed. I've got 3 pieces developed, and he's just doing pawn pushes, which is not apparently the way to go about it. But I obviously needed to take because otherwise I'd be all locked up. Yes, I helped him to develop his bishop, but yeah, the alternative wasn't good at all. So yeah, I just wanted to give my bishop an escape square in case he wanted to chop off my bishop. And now I develop, because otherwise I would have had to develop my knight here, and I wanted my knight here. Yeah, and I did obviously consider him maybe at a certain point pushing this pawn and maybe forking my bishop and knight. But at the moment, if he pushes, I have 2 attackers and he's got 1 defender. So at the moment, it's all right. Let me just get rid of all the arrows and stuff. But I did know I'm in a fork position with my 2 minor pieces. So yeah, this was an awkward move for me. Anyway, I wasn't quite sure what to do. It's also by Stockfish defined as a mistake or a fault. Oh, inaccuracy, sorry. Yeah, it wasn't the bad, but it wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst move, but definitely wasn't the best move. But I always had to think, what is he going to do? Is he coming here? Maybe. He's not threatening anything. Well, he's threatening here, but then I can just defend. He can't come here. Well, he can, but then he's got double isolated pawns. So I wasn't quite sure what his plan was just yet. But I did think maybe he wants to push this pawn. I grab it. He grabs it. He pins my, or he doesn't pin my knight, but he attacks my knight. And then I have to maybe come here with my knight, my queen. And then he comes in with his, you can still follow it. Then he comes in with his knight, and then I might chop it off, and then he takes, and then my queen is attacked, and then I have maybe to step away, and then he can take. I have double pawns. Those all going in my mind. Luckily, you have 1 hour 45 minutes per person, no increment, but that's plenty. Well, the game ended eventually with me having 16 minutes on the clock and my opponent about 18 or 19. So he used the majority of the time. Yeah. Anyway, this is all what I was thinking about. So I thought, like, well, rather than waiting for him, just push the pawn, which is an inaccuracy or a, yeah, inaccuracy, not the right idea. So he brought back his bishop here, and then I thought, like, if I take, he must recapture, and his queen is in a position where it's undefended. So I was kind of hoping, which is hope chess, which I probably should not do at this level against an opponent who has been playing chess for decades. But I thought, like, well, let's give it a try. So his queen is undefended. So maybe I thought, like, if this pawn isn't here, I can give a discover check, winning the queen. But obviously, this guy wasn't. I'm not sure if it's an English expression also, but in Dutch we say he wasn't born yesterday, meaning he isn't stupid. So yeah, he pushed his pawn, and I had to calculate for a bit. But obviously there's, like, as I talked in the beginning, these guys are in a fork position. But if he would go here now, this pawn is pinned. So I could take, he takes, I take. He couldn't recapture because the pawn is pinned to the queen. So I thought I was okay. So I brought my rook here, which is not good. It's a mistake. Yeah, he wanted me to strike at the center with the pawn. I did consider this, but I wasn't quite so sure about it because it's weakening my pawn. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I must say, in the middle game, I felt like even though we were in pieces, like pawns and the rest. It was equal until the very last of the game. Until the last two moves of the game, we were spot on equal with material. But I felt like his position was better because he was more developed and more on the attacking side. I didn't have any attacking possibilities. I was just waiting, not waiting, but I was defending. Not waiting, but defending. I never had a real opportunity of attacking until maybe the end, like the final moments. Uh, yeah, but I just thought like my queen is only defended by my knight here. If for whatever reason this knight is pushed away, I want something to defend my queen. And also I thought like if he brings out his rook here, if I have a rook here, this pawn is still pinned. So that was the whole reason behind why I did this, which Stockfish doesn't like. Anyway, get rid of the squares. So he's like, I'm reacting, he's piling up, he's like squeezing me in a way. But I was well defended and I could counter every squeeze he brought about. So now I obviously saw that this kind of loses his, this pin is kind of losing its value in a way. If he pushes now, I can take, he can take, I can take. Well, you still couldn't, but I felt like now if he maybe brings his rook out, then maybe it's getting a bit nasty. And I also thought like if he pushes this pawn, oh, let's get rid of it. More importantly, why I did what I did now is like I thought like if he pushes this pawn, yes, I can grab it, and he grabs it again. I need to get rid of, I need to remove my knight, and then he can take my other knight, and I can only recapture with my pawn, and I'm opening up my structure, which I obviously didn't want to have happen. So I decided to bring back my bishop, which Stockfish didn't like. Yes, I did actually. Yeah, I need to find my way around this with chess. And I guess I've only been playing for a year. This is just a matter of time before you get more and more confident. Because he was in the driving seat, and I looked multiple times at like breaking open this side of the board because all the action was in the center and eventually on this side of the board. Uh, Here, there's a lot of action coming up, and I did think about advancing this pawn, him taking, me taking, or not because when the knight is there, but taking, and maybe he retakes and I retake, and just weakening up this side of the board. Yeah, so Starfish actually did like that. So that's something I need to keep in the back of my mind. If I think of something, I maybe ought to give it further consideration. But I actually didn't want to get into trouble, which I think is my lesson I can learn, that I shouldn't always think about how to stay out of trouble, but also how to create trouble for my opponent. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good player, so maybe it's the psychology of playing against such a strong player. For me, it's a strong player for me. That maybe a psychology behind it that I played a bit on the defensive side. Anyway, so he brought his rook out, and I was thinking this knight isn't doing too much here, whilst actually it would have been better to push this pawn and go for grabbing this pawn and like we talked about just now, or I talked about just now. But I was thinking, how can I bring my knight into some action because it wasn't doing too much, and there wasn't anything else. There wasn't anything else I could really do. So now he's attacking the pawn, is defended. So I thought, and that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to come up here to push this pawn and have another defender for this pawn push eventually, maybe. So, and then he brought his knight out. So obviously I need to step out of the way. I did think about going here. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. So now he's not doing anything just yet, but I did want to get rid of this knight, and I knew if I didn't want to bring out this knight out here because then I'd be losing a defender on this pawn, of this pawn, and I also obviously couldn't bring my knight out here because then it'd be a check, and I'd be in danger, I think, in trouble. So first things first, Stockfish didn't like that either. Yeah, I did consider this also, but because obviously then I'm attacking this. But I did think like I'm losing a defender of my knight. Once again, this is like me being maybe a bit too defensive. So yeah, that's something I can learn. That's something I can take away from this game. I can be more attacking and not just defending. So we brought his knight out. So my idea of coming over here with my knight doesn't work anymore because then he can take it with this knight, and then I take it with this knight, and this pawn has only one defender. So I chop it off. It's already decided when before he even came here. I thought if he comes there, I can't do what I wanted to do, get rid of the knight, so I need to chop it off. Stuff still wanted me to go there. So all the inaccuracies and mistakes are because he wanted me to go there. It wanted me to go here and break open this side of the board. Yeah, so now I'm attacking and the rook and the knight, so it's a forced trade. And it did take a long time to consider if I be taking it with my knight or with the queen. And I thought if I kept it with the queen, with the knight, then he might double up attacking this pawn, and then I can bring another defender, but my queen would be the first to capture. Yes, and I also could take and then maybe bring it back here, but that felt really awkward. But Stockfish did want me to take it with the knight. And the reason being maybe is because this knight is going to be stuck here for quite some time. Yeah, Stockfish didn't really like this. Even though it didn't have much danger here, I could see that if he pushes this pawn, I obviously need to react to that, but he's also discovering a checkmate. So I did luckily see that. And oh, hang on. Too much action in one. So I brought out my pawn, stopping this attack. Yeah, the guy eventually afterwards he said like you had a good response to every threat that I created. But that says it all. I mean, I was just reacting to his threats. Yeah, let him in. So now obviously he was going for another attack. He can attack this. I can't take it because this pawn is pinned. So I needed to step here to unpin the pawn. And I did consider he was going there, so I thought like I can bring it here, which is a mistake. I'm 3 points down at the moment. But I did consider if he was going here, defending the rook, I can bring my queen up here, and then this pawn is defended once, twice, 3 times. So even if he would take, if I'm here with my queen, if he takes, I can take with the pawn, he can take with the rook, I can take the rook, and he can take me, and I can take him. So I thought like I'd be winning material. So I wasn't too concerned about this. I thought it was a good move, but Stockfish didn't like it because I went down from 1.5 points behind to 3 points behind. I'm not quite sure why, because I brought this here. I think he had a good attacking chance. I mean, am I missing things? Let's say I brought this here. I thought he could just maybe go here. I take. Okay, yeah, well, yeah, okay, so he wouldn't have any play. But then I thought like maybe he can spy it up, then I can just defend. And I'm winning actually. Okay, so yeah, so I'm showing ghosts. That's the lesson I learned from it. Anyway, so I brought my queen out for protection. He didn't actually go in the offense, but he actually, for a change, went into the defense. And now we're down to one. I'm down to 1 point behind. So luckily, from 3 points, I went down to 1 point behind. So I thought like bring the rook here. It's defended by my queen. If he takes with his bishop, I can recapture and attacking the queen. But then he went up here, and this is where I thought for maybe the longest time of the game. Because obviously you don't want to advance your pawns too far ahead in front of your queen. Like he's got his pawns all neatly stacked in front of the king. So I thought like I can bring out my queen here for defense. But then I thought like maybe he can attack it. I need to either go here, out in the open, or bring it back again. And then I thought like, well, if I bring it back again and he moves over here, we might have like a threefold repetition. But I didn't quite like it. And the other alternative is like to bring out my pawn here, stop all attacks, but then obviously he can bring out his pawn and attack my pawn. So I wasn't quite sure what to do. And I opted with what once again Stockfish didn't like. Well, it wasn't too bad, but it's not bad. But Stockfish did actually wanted me to bring out my queen, which I did consider, but I thought this was the better option because I thought like this is just stopping any and all threats. For your information, I'm down 2 points now again, so this is what I felt in the game. He was more in the driving seat. Material-wise, it's equal, but he was he was active, and I was just responding. So yeah, he's bringing the pawn out. Yeah, I did consider this, but I thought like if he takes, I can firstly I thought like if he takes, I can bring out my queen, and then maybe go for a trade. But then I thought like, well, let's because this is what happened. And I thought like if I take it, and if he takes, I can take, and the bishop can't take anymore because it's defended by the rook. But then I thought like, well, maybe if I take, he steps away, and I need to go back again, and then I have a great weakness here because then you could have like three attackers on this pawn. Yeah, so I opted for this, which is the best. Yeah, because now I thought like this is just stopping him from coming in altogether. And I did see he was probably going to come up here and here and put another attacker on the pawn, which then would have like too many attackers. Because already this pawn can't defend because it's pinned because of the rook. So I thought like I need to get my rooks connected and maybe get my knight into the game. So I thought like bring my knight here and then here and maybe grab this pawn because then I have two attackers on this pawn and I might be able to actually go for an attack rather than respond. So yeah, Stoffers likes it. And then he stopped my idea of coming in here. So I can't bring my knight out here. But at least my rooks are connected. And now I thought I was getting a bit happy because, and this actually does show in the evaluation bar, eval bar, like he's a half point up. So he's lost his advantage. So now I can trade off rooks. So I'm with rooks of the boards. We're now actually completely dead even. It's a drawing position, 0-0 exactly. So yeah, and now I was really happy, and I did see that he might be able to create some tension on this pawn by going here, but he didn't go there. He went here, and that was a yeah. Maybe should have. Well, the time was running low, and we've been playing like chess for. I was down to 16 minutes. He was down to 18 minutes. So that's like 16, 18, like 35 minutes out of 3.5 hours. So we were playing nearly for 3 hours, just under 3 hours. I was getting tired. And I did see he was attacking my knight, but I didn't see he was attacking my pawn. And before he went there, I did see if he would go there, I knew he was attacking my pawn. But he was going there. I forgot about the fact that he was not just attacking my knight, but also this pawn. And I thought, okay, well, I can offer him a queen trade. But I should have gone here, attack or defending my knight and the pawn. But I went here, and this is actually the best move, which I was really surprised about when I put it in the computer, because I'm losing a pawn. Yet it's the best move. Actually, because sometimes the best move, okay. Sometimes best moves are sometimes two moves can be the best moves. Oh, whoa. Okay, so this is an accuracy even. Okay, well there you have it. So he wanted me to go here somehow. Defend the. Okay. So basically he's saying don't worry about the pawn for whatever reason. And I think the reason is because I went here, offered him a queen trade, he captured my pawn, and I went here, which is the best move. So now, yes, he can grab this pawn, but then I give a check and win his bishop. He can maybe check, but then I just move out of the way. And then he'd be then, and also, other than checking, let me get rid of all this stuff. Other than checking here, I could also check here and win this pawn. So he was a bit tied down, to be honest. Obviously, he couldn't take this pawn. Um, and I also thought, like, maybe if I give a check, he goes up here, I can give another check and maybe get like a perpetual or something. Um, on two occasions in the game, I offered him a draw. Well, not offered him a draw, but I said like, okay, I know you're ahead, not in material, but in play. But if any time you think you have no play left, I'm willing to go for a draw. So at this position, he accepted the draw. He agreed on drawing the game. And Stockfish is saying it's 0.00. It's a drawing position, even though I'm down one pawn. So it was a good decision of him to accept the draw. Yeah, I mean, some things that I considered was he maybe going here for a check. And some guy, then I probably would have gone here in hindsight. Yeah, still a draw. And then he needs to decide what to do. He obviously can't leave this file, because otherwise he'd be losing a bishop. And he can't really, well, he could go here maybe. So maybe he'd have to go here to defend this pawn. But then maybe I could still be giving a check. He'd be going here. Then I can, oh yeah, okay, that'd be a bit, then what would I do? Okay, then I wouldn't have had any play. Well, then maybe I could bring my knight into the game. No, Stockfish didn't like that. He wanted me to defend a knight. Okay, so he wanted me to just do a waiting move here. And then, yeah, no, maybe. No, he obviously can't lose. He can't. Maybe he'd be going here. No, that'd be losing a bishop. Maybe he'd be going here. Yeah. So yeah, and then yeah, what to do? Maybe bring out my knight. No. Mm, no. Okay. Anyway, this is just like um. Okay. So it was a good decision for him to accept a draw, and I was really happy with this because yeah, for me it's a solid player. Been around the block for many years, decades even. Old man playing very solid chess. So I was really happy with the draw, and rightfully so. So in the middle game, I was behind in play, not in material, and I did feel that, and I did feel I came back after the rooks were traded off. And even though I was down a pawn, I could see that my queen here was a potential threat for him. So yeah, really happy. So hope you liked this game. I hope you learned something of it. If you yeah, if you like this, please leave a comment. If you've seen some things I missed, or if you're yeah, just want to share your ideas, your thoughts, and yeah, if you're not subscribed, please do so to this channel and like this video. And yeah, still trying to build this channel, so you can really help me out by interacting. All right, thanks, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully, I'll start playing online chess again tomorrow, and you can expect some online games again also on my channel. Bye bye.